We're now going to learn how to make the patch that we've called Raucous Ribbons, and it's basically just a patch that's just got loops of ribbon that you can just move about. So we're just going to start by making sure we've got a piece of black fabric that's cut to the right size, which is 18 centimeters by 23 centimeters. So always double check. Yep, before you start putting your design on, otherwise it would be a disaster. So you've got your black fabric rectangle, and now you just need to find the center of it. So you can just fold it over again, and then either mark it with a pencil or put a little pin in. It's up to you, but just make sure that you mark the middle of it somehow, and then you can put that aside for a minute. And then it's time to choose your ribbons. So make sure that when you're choosing them, they all kind of go together and they're in the same colour family, whether that's the reds or the greens or the blues or whatever. I'm going to choose these three. And you just want to make sure that you cut them to double the width. Now we're ready to pin them. So where we've marked the centre, we want the centre of our ribbon to go. So we don't even need to measure it, just fold it in half. And you do need to pin it in place. So we're just going to hold it in place like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a little loop and put the next pin in, and then we're going to make another little loop roughly the same size as one another and put the next pin in. So it looks like this. Doesn't matter if they're not exactly the same, just try as best you can. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. And then the same again. So we're kind of like left with this. And then we're going to do exactly the same with the other two ribbons, and then we're going to go over to the sewing machine and I'll show you how to actually sew them down. Okay, so now we're ready. We've got our 3 ribbons pinned down and we just need to sew them. But before we do, just take a little look. Can you notice that my pins are all going in the same direction? That's really going to help when we come to sew. So just double check that your pins are all lined up in the same direction, because it'll really help you on the sewing machine. We're just going to sew in one line down each one. We're not going to stop and start because it's very fiddly like that. So we're just going to do all 3 at the same time. So bear in mind you will see the thread. So to blend it into the background, you might want to kind of make it match the background patch. I'm keeping with this neutral thread just so you can see it on the film. But if I was doing this normally, I'd choose black so it blends in, and it's fine if you can see it on the ribbon. Right, so this is a tiny bit fiddly, but it's fine. So I'm just going to start at the top ribbon. And I'm just going to put my needle in as usual, take my pin out. Now you can see with my left hand, I'm just gently holding down the loop. Now, the ribbon is sewn already. But what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to keep on sewing, like I said, over the black until I get to the next ribbon. And then carrying straight on until I get to the 3rd, and then backwards and forwards, and then pull. So you can see I've just gone right over all the 3. So I'm just now going to do the same on the other 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that'll be us almost finished. When you come to do the other lines of stitch, you'll notice that the loops kind of almost get in the way on either side. Just don't worry, you can just gently hold them down and they'll be fine if you just sew right down the middle. If you've pinned them, they should be okay. So you can just hold the loops down, press gently with your left and right hands. And I'm stopping just to take the pins out. So you can see that's the second line done. And then I'm just going to carry on and do all the rest. We're almost done. We just need to make sure that there's no threads that need to be trimmed. So if you find some, just trim them off. Looks good. Now what we don't need to trim, however, is the little spare bits of ribbon that you see poking up. When the whole of the blanket gets sewn around, these will get cut then, and they actually might help secure it. So just have a little bit dangling over the edge and do leave it, don't cut it off. And that's you done. Well done.